What are the biggest mistakes that people make when purchasing and using teleprompters? In this video, I'm going to teach you my very best pro-level tips on teleprompting and video production. Hi, I'm Krista, and teleprompters are my passion. Every day, I'm fielding questions for optical beam splitter mirrors for high-profile clients. If you want to achieve teleprompter mastery, you want to watch this video in full and make it a study, something that you're always perfecting. Mistake number 1, buying one that's not portable. You can have a large pro-level setup like this one, and it's still extremely portable and fast to set up. Mistake number 2, buying one that's too portable. I know what you may be thinking. You want to go with a small gadget that you can just fit in your pocket and you can teleprompt when you're on the go. And they're super cute. But imagine trying to read that teleprompter from any distance other than selfie mode. Pretty much not gonna happen. So for that reason, I recommend going somewhere in between. If you're not actually walking around while you're teleprompting, you could go with a larger setup and it's still very portable. I just want something that works. I don't want to be squinting to see a tiny little cell phone screen when I'm making my videos. Mistake number 3, buying a teleprompter that always tips over. In my setup here, I have a huge screen. So I set up an extra stand for that screen by itself. I can't imagine putting this size screen on a little laptop tray. Like, of course it's gonna fall over. And I also have a separate stand for my camera, my EOS 1DX Mark II. That way, there's no risk of it falling down. Mistake number 4 is buying one that only works with an iPad. I don't know if you noticed this, but anything Apple related is very hard to sync up with anything else. How do you get your script into your iPad to begin with? And then once you have it on your iPad, how do you play it on your teleprompter? I don't like to mess with that. I just want to get straight to recording, and messing around with all these fancy devices is just not for me. Mistake number 5 is buying cheap teleprompter glass that does not have the anti-reflective coating. Teleprompter mirrors are not all created equal. This one right here has the anti-reflective coating on the back, and it's extremely color neutral with a very nice reflection. Here's an example for you. Oh, hello there! I didn't see you come in. I was too busy reading off of my teleprompter. Some of the other teleprompter mirrors on the market don't have that coating, and then when they go to read their text, they're seeing a double image. Mistake number 6 is not having a dedicated studio space. You can mess up your entire video with a bad background. Take a little time, or a lot of time, to set up a space where you can make your videos and have them look very professional. Okay guys, here's my next pro tip. When setting up your green screen, there are a few things to keep in mind. First and foremost, you want great lighting, and that means diffusing that light, so you're not casting any crazy shadows on your green screen. It's going to make it really difficult to edit when you go into your software to change out that background. So, here's an example of a light diffusion umbrella. And it is kind of magical how when you turn it like this to do the light diffusion, just makes it much better. So when you stand in front, you aren't casting any shadows. Another thing to note though, if you're too close to the green screen, you will still cast a shadow. So just take one step forward, take a look back there. Are you casting any shadows on it? If so, maybe move up a little bit more. Perfect. Now that you have the lighting resolved, you want to keep in mind too, when you're getting your first green screen, or maybe you're upgrading your equipment, you want to stay away from the Muslim green screen chroma key setup and definitely go straight to the paper. This allows you to go with a larger area, which is critical when you're making a video. You don't want to move your arm out and then have it like be outside of the green screen. You want to be able to move around, be comfortable, and have it be seamless. Most people get a support system for their chroma key background. For our setup, we actually taped our chroma key background to the wall to maximize our space in the studio. For larger setups, when you have tons of space, it may not be a big deal, but just keep in mind, when you're getting a support system, you want to make sure it supports the weight evenly so it's not wrinkling as you pull it down and then pull it back up to put it away. Mistake number 7 is using a device that's too small. Let me show you the limitations of a little teleprompter. Okay, so this means it's super portable. It's your beam splitter. This is your phone. And when you put them together, it creates a little teleprompter. It's like a mini one, right? You can maybe see one line of text. You can't read ahead. You can't be very far away. So you would really need the teleprompter to be right in front of you to be able to actually use it. And this might work if you have it on a selfie stick and you're walking around with it, but that's about it. Now, we talked about this earlier with portability, but just in general here, you want something that's big. The bigger the better, because the bigger the screen is, the more easily you can read off of that teleprompter. And more importantly, you can start reading into your next lines because it's all on the screen in front of you. With small devices, you can only go 1 or 2 lines at a time, and that leads to more mistakes. Mistake number 8 is reading directly off of your teleprompter, word for word. It's super obvious that you're doing it, and on top of that, when you're reading it word for word, you're not really thinking about how you're conveying that message. You want to appear more natural. So I recommend pulling into your teleprompter, utilizing some of the words, get some bullet points down, and then make it look natural. You don't always have to be looking directly at the text. Now I'm going to show you an example of what it's like to read word for word off of a teleprompter instead of looking at your bullet points and then improvising. In this video, I'm going to teach you my very best pro-level tips on teleprompting and video production. Teleprompters are my passion. I spend hours every day fielding questions about beam splitter mirrors for high-profile clients and creating videos like this one. Next, I'm going to show you what it's like to use your bullet points or your script to paraphrase and not read word for word what's in front of you on your teleprompter. Hi, I'm Krista, and teleprompters are my passion. Every day, I'm fielding questions for optical beam splitter mirrors for high-profile clients. By the way, in case you're wondering, I work for a beam splitter manufacturing company called Teleprompter Mirror. Mistake number 9 is not recording in 4K. I can't tell you how many times I've surfed YouTube and come across the most epic video, and then I blow it up onto my big screen at home, and it's pixelated because it was recorded in 480p. What? If you want to appear professional in your videos, you need to be recording in 4K. Otherwise, your competition's going to see that, and they will instantly make a better version in 4K. Mistake number 10 is not using 60 frames per second in your videos. I always record in 60 frames because I love using slow motion. So to emphasize different parts of my video, I slow it down. And if you do that with anything other than 60 frames, it's not going to look good. It's going to look super blurry. Mistake number 11 is bad sound quality. You can ruin an entire video if you don't have a great sound quality in the video. Personally, I have this studio space set up because at work, there were all these extraneous sounds, and you could hear people cutting glass in the background or manufacturing this equipment, and that's just not good. It's not professional. You want something crisp and clear. I also mute all of my devices while I'm recording, so I'm not interrupted mid-video sequence. This is killer, especially if you're busy like me. Mistake number 12 is being too close to your teleprompter. When you're reading directly on your teleprompter and you're too close to it, you can see your eyes darting back and forth. To fix this problem, you need to step back, get a bigger beam splitter glass so people can't tell that your eyes are moving back and forth to read. Mistake number 13 is wasting time. You don't need to spend too much time rehearsing your lines because your teleprompter is there to save you. Mistake number 14 is speaking in a bad voice or monotone, boring. You want to use your voice as an instrument, orchestrated. You want to take people on a journey, a sound, a music video almost, with your voice. You want people to feel engaged as you're talking. If you speak in a monotone, this is what happens. Like, I'll do it right now. Bad voice. Use your voice as you would an instrument. Use a monotone is like hitting the same note. I can't even do it because I'm programmed to not do it. Here's an example of what not to do.
Wasting time. Don't waste time rehearsing your lines unless you're giving a political speech or news broadcast. Your teleprompter will be there to remind you of what to say. You don't need to rehearse too much.
Okay, let me tell you a story. Back in college, I actually had a lot of trouble with public speaking. And my professor's number one recommendation was actually to slow the F down. Now, mind you, I was getting a bachelor's degree in mathematics. So I was presenting math, high-level math, to an audience that had not done the research that I'd done. So when I used his suggestion of slowing down, I did it, right? And as a result, everyone afterward came up to me and said, wow, what a great job. Like, I was able to follow you, and it didn't seem too slow. In fact, if you slow down more than you think you should, just take it even further, slow even more down. That's actually a comfortable level for people to get that information and follow what you're saying. Mistake number 15 is being boring. You don't want to be boring in your videos. You want to use big body language. You want to use the colorful voice. You want to bring in some action words, different camera angles, looking directly into the camera. Use everything in your toolbox to make it fabulous. Mistake number 16 is changing up your look too much. If you're wearing similar clothing in most of your videos, you can reuse that footage and it will make sense. People won't be like, WTF, your hair color changed, or, oh, like, your shirt just changed in mid-video. For that reason, I recommend wearing the same thing for every video. In fact, I can recall one of the first videos I ever made, I wore the same thing, and I had multiple versions of this, but I wore the same dress for an entire month because I was in the middle of making a video and I didn't have an entire day to do it. I only had like a half an hour a day at most to work in some new scenes, and that translated into wearing the same outfit. Super useful though. We finally got the video done, and it's one of the biggest hits. Mistake number 17 is keeping your audience entertained. You want to use some crazy props. You want to get some amazing outfits and spice up your background. So for instance, you could be going outside to different locations. Get some drone footage in your backyard or out in the botanical gardens. Alright, so after seeing these two out in the field, I realized this one's definitely more for recording through the mirror, where you can really put that shroud behind so you can see the text. Just take it somewhere, make it interesting. I love surfing on Amazon to get the most unusual things like costumes and wigs and different prop items like glowing lips and light up drumsticks. I love to make it fun. Mistake number 18, bad grooming and style. It took a lot of experimentation to find my best look.
Hey Daphne, great show!
But it definitely pays off. If you work a little bit on your appearance, you will be much more happy with your videos and you'll always look your best. Mistake number 19, low batteries. I can't tell you how many times I've had to waste time charging after I started recording because one of my devices was dead. You can avoid that frustration by checking all of your devices, your phone, your drones, your DSLR camera, your gimbals, making sure everything is charged the day before a big shoot. And my cameraman always double checks to make sure these things are charged to save that extra time. Mistake number 20, bad device settings. I've gone through an entire photo shoot or video with the wrong settings before, where I thought we were recording in 4K, and in fact, it was only 1080p. And then, what do you do with that? Do you have to re-record everything, or do you settle for the bad quality? I don't know. I'm going to give you just one example on one of my devices of what can go wrong with your settings. So when you click on settings in your camera, right at the top here, it goes right into the rear camera. And I've made the mistake of clicking picture size, thinking I'm editing my video quality size. But that is not the case. However, I max it out anyway. Then I go to video size and select the highest quality, UHD 60 frames per second. Notice at the top, after you click it, it says video size for the rear camera. So that's the one I am using. It is the correct one. You can set different settings for the front camera, so make sure you have the right one selected. Mistake number 21 is bad lighting. Some of my best shots are taken at twilight, where it's the perfect time of day. The clouds don't necessarily have to be there, but the sun has set, right? It's not in direct contact with you.
Why'd you have to go and drive me so crazy? Now I'm feeling lost without you, and I just can't be without you, baby.
And that eliminates all the shadows that you see when you get the direct sunlight. And the same can be said in a studio space. You want to set up your lights with the umbrellas so you don't have any harsh shadows. You also want to make sure that you have sufficient lighting in your room so that your footage isn't grainy. When you kick up that ISO so high to compensate for the lack of light, that's when you start to get the grainy footage. So avoid that by adding extra lights in your room, make it extra bright so you can lower that ISO setting for the best result. Mistake number 22 is listening to paid product reviews on teleprompter products with the caveat that you have no idea that they're being paid. I have to wonder if most of these people that are getting paid to review that product, are they actually using that product on a day-to-day basis? Because what I find is in their reviews, it's so contrary to what I'm experiencing on a day-to-day basis that they must not actually have any true experience with the product. Mistake number 23 is bad editing skills. You want to put the purpose of your video first, what people are expecting to see, and then use your introduction to tell them who you are. Hi, Krista here with not 2 minutes. Okay, start a little more. But keep it minimal, a few seconds at most. Don't let your intro drag on for 30 seconds or more. People will click away faster than white on rice. Next, you want to go into the meat of your video. You want to have that be 90% of your video, delivering on the promise that you made in the purpose of that video that you said in the first few seconds. Just make a ton of videos and hone in on like one special effect each time that you want to add to your repertoire of video editing skills, and you can use that video to master that one skill, and then you just move on to the next video. That way you're publishing all the time and you're not thinking about too many things at once, and you can just continue that momentum. You want to keep it light, funny, charismatic. Don't drag on for too long on one thing. You want to keep it interesting and tight. Finally, at the end, you want a call to action. This could be asking for subscribers, like, subscribe, and share. Going to your website, leaving a comment, or you could do all three. But I recommend if you start putting these call to actions in, you want at least one at the end of your video. But when you get really into it, you can start interspersing these call to actions throughout your video to get more interaction with your video. Mistake number 24 is loud background music. You want to keep it minimal. So when you're recording your video, you want to drown out that background noise as much as possible so you don't have to kick up the music in your final production. When you're not speaking though, it can be really powerful to kick up the volume on your music in between scenes. It can have a really magical effect. Here's one of my early attempts, early on in my acting career. Mistake number 25 is flying solo. You can really spruce up your videos by hiring extra talent, people that support your vision. Hi, I'm Krista.
And I'm Harley.
And we're Teleprompter Mirror. To supplement your video and make it engaging, it's so much easier to add humor when you have one other person there to talk to. The flow of the video can just be so much more organic and easy to create when you have two people or more. In this next scene, I'll show you exactly what I mean.
Hey guys.
Hey guys!
Today, we're bringing you exclusive secrets and insider tips.
On how to get into character and use a teleprompter.
Okay, so to wrap things up, if you want to achieve teleprompter mastery, you want to watch this video in full and make it a study, something that you're always perfecting. Besides, there's always room to improve on your acting skills, your presence, your vocality, and everything else that I taught you so far. Do you have any great tips that you'd like to see added? Or perhaps something you'd like to see more detail about? Leave a comment or send me an email with any suggestions you have, and I'll include it in my next video.